The last word, Thorn, and Hawkmoon were like the trinity of exotic hand cannons back in D1, and now with the return of Ace of Spades and the last word and the confirmation of Thorn, along with anonthenines comment a while ago, mentioning, referring to the rose here, that it's coming in Penumbra, along with another bird we love. What other bird could it be besides Hawkmoon? Anyway, we've got Ace of Spades to compare from D1, D2, as well as the last word. Thank you, Drewski, for having those stats up in your video that I can actually compare to the last word, because Destiny Tracker doesn't have the stats for some reason. It's got the perks, but not the stats. Anyway, I went over both the ace and the last words stats for I don't know how long. I didn't time it. Basically, almost everything was increased from D1 to D2 except the zoom on Ace of Spades. Went from 15 in D1 to 14 in D2, which means you've got a tiny bit more room to actually see when you're ADS, which is again better. So literally everything is better. Inventory size is up by a buttload. The range for Ace of Spades is up by a buttload. The recoil direction is a small bit better, but you can't get any better than 100, which is what it's at in D2. Last word, my god, the range buff is incredible. It went from 2 at worst, 10 at best, and is now 42 in D2. Big buff. Handling got a big buff as well, from min 15 max 20 up to 46. Reload speed got a big buff as well, from 56 to 82, about 50% buff. Aim assistance is about the same as best, and recoil direction you can't get any better than 100, which is what it's at. So, going off that, I made myself some predictions on how my baby Hawkmoon could come back and be as glorious as I liked it. Well, it's obviously going to be 140, going off the rate of fire from the Ace of Spades not really changing, and the Ace of Spades and Hawkmoon having the same RPM in D1, so obviously it's going to be 140. Impact, I'd say, is going to go up to the max, which is conservative, since the Ace of Spades went up by a bit, last word went up by a noticeable amount. So let's say Hawkmoon, let's just say it'll stay at 84, maybe hitting 85. Range, I'd say it would get a good buff as well, because this thing used to be able to map shit. Going off the last words range buff, which is about a bit over 4 times the max range it had in D1. Going off the stats, just I'm pointing that out, going off the stats. And the last, Ace of Spades, going up from 40 to 62, up to 86. My guess is the range for the Hawkmoon is going to be 80 to 85, because the Hawkmoon range in D1 had a max of 47. So it won't be as high as Ace, I'd say, but definitely a nice buff. Stability, I'd say maybe around 45, going off how the Ace of Spades, the closest thing that we have in D2 to Hawkmoon, given its archetype. More or less the same as the upper end of the D1. Yeah, I'm saying 45 because it's more or less the upper end of D1 as well. Zoom, I'd say, might be dropped to about 14 as well, to be in line with the Ace. The average inventory size, I'd say, would jump from 30 to 50 to 60, because the inventory size from Ace went up from, where's it gone, 40 up to 56. So a nice jump, maybe about 15% or so. The aim assistance, I'd say, would be up to 50 or 60 as well, given that the D1 of Ace 61 to 66 went up to 70. Last word 15 up, or 40 up to 40. So my guess is it'll go up a bit, not by a huge amount. So that's what I'm saying, 50 to 60, which is the upper limit of D1 or a little bit better. Recoil direction, I'd say, be about 80 because they've buffed the ace for the recoil direction, and they couldn't make the last word's recoil direction any better. So I'm just going to say they're going to probably have it around 80, the upper end of D1's Hawkmoon. Now for perks and stuff, my guess, hopefully, if this is the case, that would be awesome. The exotic perk, I don't know what it's going to be called. No one will until it's leaked or revealed or whatever. But I'm hoping it'll be a mix of luck in the chamber and holding aces, so it'll get that 3 random bullets in the magazine would do extra damage. Which, if you look at the numbers, it's more or less about the same as an overcharged Sturm doing that. In this, you see usually doing about 88. There's a clip earlier where I slowed it down a bit where it shows a 127 followed by an 88, which is awesome. That'd be just spectacular if it had all 3. Anyway, the barrel, I'd say probably have either extended barrel or corkscrew rifling. Rounds probably accurized or high cal, going off its archetype and other exotics. More than likely would either have rangefinder, or if they wanted to add hammer-forged rifling, I couldn't find that on anywhere in the database or in the stuff I already have. I'm sure it's quite possible that it's already in the game. If it's got hammer-forged in the game, I'd say it would have that or rangefinder. And lastly, I'd say either textured grip or smooth grip. Just for the archetype, the type of gun it is, the way it's a ranged hand cannon, and all that other jazz. So thanks for listening. Leave a comment down below if you've got any other suggestions. And yeah, good luck in the Crucible.